Three, two, one. Hello there out in TikTok land. How you guys all doing today? How we doing here with the studio? Everything's wonderful. Everything's great. Oh, just recovering. Just finally reached like the end of this absolutely ridiculous, absolutely bullshit. Like it's always the same Christmas for me. Like I don't celebrate Christmas, and this year was really like proof positive of why I don't celebrate Christmas. That uh, Christmas for me has always just been a work period. It's been a very busy, frantic, difficult work period, uh, full of just like customers, people who are they themselves are in an emotional tizzy because Christmas is in a very emotional period of time for lots of people. Hey, broccoli cheddar rice, how you doing? I'm doing well, bud. I'm doing well. You're yeah, like I'm tired. I'm tired as tired gets. You're catching me right at the end of like a big, big, long, difficult stretch of where things have been upheaval and things that are difficult. Well, you can celebrate December 26th right now. Happy birthday, Mao Zedong. Happy birthday, Mao Zedong. I didn't know that his birthday was December 26th. But straight up, happy birthday, Mao Zedong. Right? Say what you like about Mao Zedong. Say what you like. The revolution was successful. That China is a better place for Mao having been in it than not. And I think to say otherwise, I mean, feel free to try to criticize Mao, like, but if you are going to say that he made his country worse, you are a very stupid person. Like a very stupid person. Just like a person who we can safely ignore. Just, okay, champ, whatever you say, go back to Fox News, right? Like, before Mao Zedong, like, the Chinese were suffering underneath, like, American imperialism, Japanese imperialism, their own royalty was fucking them over. Like, China was going through what they now call 100 years of humiliation. They were considered the poor man of Asia was the name that they were given. And then Mao Zedong came, organized the people, uh, uh, fomented a successful revolution, threw off the shackles of the imperialists, and started industrializing the nations, and did so successfully. So, God bless you, Mao Zedong, wherever you may be, wherever you may be. I hope that fate has shone kindly upon your spirit. This year's Christmas was particularly ridiculous in my view because so much of what happened in the capitalist world that I live in was completely unnecessary. Usually, for me, the capitalism is difficult because it's just a lot, right? It's consumer. So it's all consumerism, it's all consuming, it's all this consumerist stuff. That's why capitalism is so difficult over the Christmas period for people who work in retail and for the retailers. It's not a vacation. In fact, it's our busiest moment. It is the Super Bowl for us. Like I grew up surrounded by lots of farmer types, right? And the farmer types we're always talking about the harvest, right? And so they would show up late to functions. There'd be family gatherings. They're like, no, I'm in the field. It's the harvest. This is the harvest. This is the busiest time. And everybody around me was always like, oh, yes, absolutely. Right? Absolutely fine that they work until sundown. Absolutely fine until like they got to get it in and now's the time. And everybody knew it. Well, Christmas for me is the harvest. And it's always been that way. And, uh, uh, and nobody outside of the retail world, nobody outside of that really seems to give a fuck at all. Uh, and so I don't consider it a holiday. Like everyone's walking around being like, "Oh, it's a magical thing," and all the music. It's like it's the happy, and I'm like, "Fuck you! This is all illusion. This is all manufactured. This is all showmanship. It's all crafted to get you to buy junk for people you don't really know or care about to prove to them that you probably should, but you don't." Right? If you actually cared about them, you'd spend more time with them. But we replace the love and the time that we lose with our family and friends with baubles and doodads and junk, basically, is what we do. I've literally sold products to like grandparents, parents, uncles who clearly were trying to replace the time that they've missed with these children with stuff. Like I've definitely done that. And most of the time, it's draining just because it's very busy. It's draining because it's just humanity, right? That's the thing that, like, people shit on retailers. People shit on people in retail. Uh, uh, we're at the bottom of the rung, right? We all know it. We're all at the bottom of the rung. If you're working in retail, congratulations, you're at the bottom of the society. Why don't you get a real job? And then if you go get a real job, nobody wants to work anymore, right? So go fuck yourself. But the thing that no one actually talks about is that your job is dealing with the mass of humanity. That's what your job is, right? And not dealing with the mass of humanity with you in a position of authority where you get to look at them and tell them things, right? But you in a position of subservience, right? And service. And that's the role. So that's the job. Even if everyone in the society respected retailers, which they don't, but even if they did, you'd still be in a position of servitude. And I don't mind that. Like, I think that serving your community and serving the society and serving the people is a fine way to live your life. I just wish that we'd get some goddamn respect. But this year, it wasn't just the mass of people. It wasn't just the, like, overwhelming sea of people. This time, we had a shift of ownership, and the owners decided to put in, like, a whole bunch of changes while Christmas was happening. So you have simultaneously, while there's this sea of people and this constant crest of just, like, you also have to deal with this is different and this is different and this person's leaving and this person's here now and this person's there. We got to train this guy up and you got to do. So it's just chaos. It's just chaos from basically December 1st until now. It looks like it's finally eased off. It looks like it's finally planed off. And it's annoying because it just didn't need to be this way. Like, it straight up didn't need to be this way. Like, if I were to talk to these guys and if they were to listen to me at all, I would have literally said, just wait till January. Just wait till January to start doing all this. You don't need to do this now. Like, what's the hurry here? What are you hustling for? But that's capitalists for you. They don't give a shit, right? They don't care. I'm really seeing it. You can see it with this Twitter thing. I think Twitter has become a real cultural touchstone for a lot of us now, right? Twitter is like literally this cultural touchstone that we all get to look at and we all get to say, oh, holy shit, Twitter, right? That literally happened. Some billionaire came into a business that was functioning and working just fine, right? And just decided to destroy it. Just for a laugh. And if it fails completely, right? When Twitter fails, because it functionally, I don't know how it's still up. Like, it's a miracle at this point. When the thing collapses, like, Elon Musk is just going to walk away from it. And he's just going to be like, well, that's just another thing I did. Doop, 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 doop. And he's going to move on with his life. He doesn't give a fuck at all, right? The people who are in charge of the society do not give a fuck at all. They don't care about you. They don't care about anything they do. And they've gotten so wealthy that everything they do is just like on a lark. They're just like, yeah, I guess I'll do that for fun. Sure, I'll walk into a $44 billion company and destroy it for a laugh. Right? Because why the fuck not? What else they got going on? They got nothing else important that they're doing, clearly. Right? And this all flows in to the article I have up, the tweet rather I have up. Almost 1 in 5 small businesses face permanent closure in Canada. This is a Senate committee was told. The economy has not moved on. So anybody, straight up, anybody, whether you're coming into TikTok chats, whether you're talking online, wherever you go, if you're just telling people to hustle culture and grind, shut the fuck up. You're embarrassing. You're an embarrassing child of a person who probably got land given to you for free by your daddy, right? Like, this is the case of our economy. This is the case of the situation, right? That we literally have the businesses that are currently open, the businesses that have actually gone and already opened and are already trying to get business going. Well, 1 in 5 of them, 20%, 20% of all of the current businesses that are around are facing permanent closure. And you're walking around saying, You just need to hustle culture and grind set, and you got to do it. Like, shut up. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing at this point. And if you try to talk to me that, like, if you try to come in with your hustle culture bullshit, this is how I'm going to talk to you. Because I think you're a child. I think you haven't grown up. I think you revere people like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson, also child men in their own right? Like, it is grow up time. The entire society and the entire culture and the entire thing is obviously saying we have systemic issues. We have major, obvious, very clear, you can see them with your eyes. The institutions themselves are saying we're in a crisis. And you're walking around pointing at a 25-year-old going, you just need to get your shit together and grind set. And then you hold your hand out while your daddy gives you keys to a building. Like, that's like the Doug Ford story, right? Like, this is the most like, here's an embarrassing reality for all conservatives that they never like to talk about or have brought up, right? Where do you think these guys get their land from? Like, I have family, literally people in my own family, whose life was getting free land given to them by their daddies, who they then turned around and just sold for millions of dollars. So they literally were just handed millions of dollars for fucking nothing. For fucking nothing. For just being born in the world. Right? And where did that land come from, you may ask, right? Forget about the extermination of the First Nations people, because if you're conservative, you don't give a fuck about that. But there's a law that existed during that period of time, right? Called the Canada Dominion Act. In the United States, it was the Homesteaders Act. And if you went across Canada and you were if you were a British man, it's in the legislation. You had to be a white British man. You got to go to the prairies or go to the Midwest and get 360 acres of free land just for showing up. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And then the descendants of those people, so free land to free land to free land to free land, and now there's just people standing on free land given to them by their daddy, going, government handouts are bad. Literally their whole life is predicated on government handouts, talking about how they just need a grind set. Nobody wants to work hard anymore. What? No, I take winters off. Like, who these losers are. Like, conservatives are losers from start to finish. They don't even know their own history. They don't care to know their own history because they literally just get handed millions of dollars for being born. And it's obvious and we can see it. And then if you say something about it, that's a bit privileged, isn't it? Hey, I think you might have a privilege there. They go, oh, that's just silly bullshit that they're making up to deflect it from the fact that they're just jealous. They're just jealous to my 300-pound fat-ass bullshit that's gonna die at 52. Like, these people are embarrassing. We're an embarrassing culture. We're an embarrassing people. We refuse to know anything. We refuse to understand what's going on in the world. We don't care to know what's going on in the world. We don't care to know what happened yesterday. We literally can have major historical moments, massive conflicts, wars can just be slapped out of our consciousness by like some celebrity. Literally when Will Smith walked up to Chris Rock and slapped him on the Oscar stage, America forgot about the war that they were involved in. They literally were just like, oh, well, moving on. Can you believe what he did? And now there's like fucking Kanye walking around. And literally we're pouring like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars into this never-ending, godless war to once again stir up a conflict that didn't need to exist in the first place. And everybody's just like, wow, yeah, can you believe the shirt that Ye made? We're an embarrassing people. We deserve to be balkanized. We deserve for the country to collapse. We deserve to experience an economic collapse. We deserve to experience a currency collapse. We deserve to experience the recession of our military power throughout the world. We deserve to be shunted into the corner and ignored by the rising powers of the world. Everything that is coming our way, we 100% deserve, because we have maybe the capacity of a 4-year-old. Like, if our nation If I was to peg a number on it, I'd put us at about 4. No older than that. 4 years old, for sure. Like, we're the dumbest. We're the dumbest. And I'm so fucking done with this shit. I'm done with people standing up and saying they're dumb. Yeah, bro, are you telling us to embrace communism and you think we'll man? In all caps in my chat, I just glanced over. Just some fucking moron. Like, literally the dumbest, like, one brain cell person in the world. Literally talking here. Just confirming the point, bud. It's grow up time, kids. Like, it's grow up time. Like, there are hard, ridiculous, crazy things coming our way, right? You're going to see states rip off of the country. You're going to see Texas secede and California secede. You're going to see America as a cultural force diminish on the world stage. You're going to see billions and billions. You're going to see the value of your dollar evaporate completely. You're not going to be able to buy anything. Things will come out like your fucking Xboxes, right? Your dumb Xboxes that everybody's jerking off about all over. And you know who's going to get them? The Chinese are going to get them. You know why? Because their dollar is going to matter and yours isn't. Because we don't make anything, we don't do anything, we're an unimportant people. We're going to get shunted into the asshole of the world and we completely deserve it. And it's bullshit like this. Just idiots coming up and being like, who've never read a book, who don't know anything about the subject, who literally think that they're CIA propaganda. Opinion on Andrew Tate. He's a sex trafficker. He abuses women, for sure. If you think that this is somebody to be aspirational, it's time to grow up. If you are aspiring to be like Andrew Tate, you're a child. Very, very straightforwardly. Like, we don't need to go any farther on any of this. If you think Andrew Tate has value, you are a child who needs to grow up. Just like Andrew Tate is a child who needs to grow up. He literally is just a dude who never got, like, hugged by his dad. He's got massive daddy issues, and instead of just, like, coming to terms with the reality that his dad didn't really want him and doesn't really love him, instead of coming to terms with the shittiness that his father is and trying to forgive him, or even hating him for a little period of time, right? He's just constantly trying to prove to himself that he's worth his father's love. That's who Andrew Tate is. He's the biggest loser that has come through. Yeah, I think he was the biggest loser last year. Like, just a massive, and the fact that anybody thinks he's popular and falls for his enormous, obvious, very straightforward grift of, like, I've got something to sell you, even though it's nothing. It's literally just, like, how to sell product on the internet. And if you get people signed up in this obvious Ponzi scheme, this multi-level marketing scheme, or whatever the fuck it's called, right? Then you can be part of it too, and then you'll give you a cut, and all this kind of, like, it's literally suckering kids into giving you money for doing fucking nothing. And, like, on the face of it, it's obviously a scam, and the people who fall for it got scammed. And it's exploitation by definition. And if you're walking around thinking that Andrew Tate is somebody worth listening to, like, if you're going to have Andrew Tate on your show and be like, interesting point, Andrew, you're a loser. You're, like, literally every single person who invited Andrew Tate on the show to, let's hear Andrew Tate's opinion and position, that is a person, so, like, that's like Tucker Carlson, right? Like that's that whole manosphere thing. That's that whole, you can literally just take that whole section, lift them out of your life, and put them in the waste bin and go, I've grown up a little. I'm more grown up now. I understand what to do with obvious grifters who are complete and total liars. Like, Andrew Tate's whole thing was like, I got a Bugatti. Like, so fucking what? Like, so do mob bosses. Like, so do criminals. Like, this is the person that you're jerking off to. This is the person that you think is going to add something to your life that's important. Like, literally all the guy is telling you to do is be the biggest rat in the sinking ship. That's what he's telling you to do. That, well, if the ship is going down, you might as well be the biggest rat. Right? Like, that's all he is. He's just the biggest rat. Like, and if you're looking up to that, I don't think you can be saved. Like, time to grow up. Big grow up time. Big fucking grow up time. I always like doing this. Let's take a quick look. China's a great country. I'd live there if my family could come too. Look at you, bud. Look at that. We got a win comment in the TikTok chat for once. God bless you. God bless you. I hope you're doing well out there, bud. Sometimes I like to glance over just to see what TikTok is having to say. If you actually want to engage in a serious way with me, right? I will engage you if you're not just a CIA idiot. Links in the description. Only responding to YouTube chat. Because frankly, guys, come on. You see the chat. You see it. So, Santora, good to see you, bud. Who's ready to end this damn year and see the next season of Earth's Imperial Core Edition? I mean, 2023 is going to be a disaster. Like, there's just no avoiding it. Like, you can tell because of how bad Christmas was this year, right? Like, the capitalists weren't giving big sales. There was no real big event. There was no, like, big barn burner thing, right? Everybody was really tight-fisted. There was a lot of, like, closed-fistedness. Not a lot of seasons givings. You walk down the streets, there's not a lot of decorations up, right? Like, I really feel like you walk into establishments, and it's not just, like, it's always... The image is always that of the staff being kind of like Christmas, and then the management being a little bit more, okay, everybody, it's Christmas. But this time around, it really was just like, yeah, fucking Christmas is here. Let's go. Put the Christmas music on. We got to do it, right? That was more the spirit of what I was seeing. And, like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna go. Like, the dog won't hunt, right? And this Christmas was so bad that I don't think that they can keep it going. I don't think that they can keep the shell game going. I think that they've run out of steam, and 2023 is going to be the year where the cracks really start to form, where things really start to get serious, where even your conservative rube uncle, even the guy who's living on the free land somewhere, is going to start to look around and be like, what's going on out here? Like, you saw a little glimmer of that, right? Like, the no one wants to work anymore line, right? No one wants to work anymore. It's such a fucking boomer, conservative, dumbass thing to say. Like, you've got to be like a detached, clueless loser to literally think to yourself, nobody wants to work in a Wendy's anymore. Yeah, for like $0 and one of the high stress jobs. Like, if these boomers had to actually go work these jobs, they would fail immediately, right? Like, some of these guys, I listened to the jobs that they've actually done in their life, and their job was literally like, yeah, I stood and watched potatoes grow. And then I took a machine and drove it over the potatoes, and it pulled out the potatoes, and then I sold the potatoes. Yup, that was my whole job for 40 years. $30 million I made. Like, shut up, bro. Like, shut up. Yeah. You can't actually say that 2023 is the year of the beginning of the end of capitalism, but just like, it does feel like it's hitting a wall. Like, I'm worried. The thing that I keep talking about, and the thing that I know lots of people are not thinking about, is the state of the union. Like, really, like the state of the union. That what is actually going to keep the states together? What is the thing that's actually going to make the United States, right, these 50-odd states, actually look at one another and be like, yeah, this is worth continuing forward as a collective unit? What is actually going to do it? Because, you know what, I don't see it. Like, I don't see it. Like, what is the unifying project? What is the thing that's keeping the country together at all? Because I don't, like, it. No one's going to have any money, so it's not even money anymore. The war machine is going to come to a lurching halt, right? Once the value of the dollar declines significantly. And you're already seeing, like, pretty massive signs pretty quickly. Where the hell did I have this? Come on. Yeah, there you go. This is the life expectancy in the United States, right? For those of you on TikTok who can't see it, you have a line since like 1980, a line gradually increasing from the age of 73 to the age of 79, right? Until it hits about 2020, and then just plummets drastically. Worse than I've seen in any other nation, right? Takes us back down to where it was in like 1990. And I mean, you should blame COVID for some of that. Obviously, that's the case. But that just shows you that what we were all saying about how the capitalists were acting over the COVID period, right? Which is to say, go work and die for our wealth, right? Is absolutely true. That's exactly what happened. That we all went and died for capitalism. That's how it worked. So not only do we have no examples of a unifying project, we have very, very clear examples of the federal government absolutely failing. So it's beginning to, like, I'm beginning to ask a very simple question. I'm beginning to ask a very simple question of people. And I suspect many people are going to start asking themselves this question. Why are you paying taxes to the federal government? What are you actually getting out of the federal government? Why are you even paying those taxes? And I think it's going to be pretty easy. I think it's going to be pretty easy for a lot of people in the United States to go, I'm not going to pay those taxes anymore to this organization that does nothing for me. Literally nothing for me. That if all we do as a state is secede from the union and I keep working this shitty job, at least I'll get a pay increase of like 20% or 30% or whatever their tax is in that particular state. Right? And we have this kind of unique and interesting moment, right? Which continues to support my theory of balkanization, that the way that the federal government is going to respond, the way that the military-industrial complex and the CIA is going to respond to needing to actually start paying bills is that they're going to attempt to raise taxes, right? So what are you going to have? You're going to have a whole bunch of billionaires who don't want to pay taxes, right? Who would like literally rather die or like buy Twitter with it than actually pay taxes. And what are they going to do? They're going to move to Texas. They're going to whip up exactly the rhetoric I just told you, because that's very straightforward rhetoric. Hey, do you want a pay increase? Do you want to stop paying that tax? What is your federal government actually giving you? Right? And someone like Elon is just going to move to Texas. They're going to whip that all up, and then they'll secede from the union. Corporate tax rate will remain at 0. Right? Like that's probably what we're going to see. And I don't think anybody's ready for that shit. And I think that shit's going to happen a lot faster than people think. Right? It'll feel a lot like when Brexit happened. Like when Brexit happened, people were like, whoa, even the people that voted in favor of Brexit were like, what the fuck? This actually happened? Holy shit. Right? I think there's going to be a lot of that happens, especially in places like Texas, but California could go too. California's got slightly different reasons for wanting to secede, but they're no less valid. Capitalism 2.0 incoming, just a return to feudalism. Yeah, I think that's right, Grinning. Like, each individual state is going to become something of its own fiefdom, and the politics of each individual state will essentially just be billionaires arguing. That's basically what'll happen. That you'll have a Republican Party and a Democratic Party, but they'll basically be two billionaires just having a fight, trying to work it out. Yep, Sebi, I'll give you $15 and you can go work to die. Isn't that nice? Isn't that fucking nice? Tax dollars are essentially used on woohoo new tanks for us to stare at that will never be used. I mean, never say never, Sebi. Never say never. There's always the upcoming internal revolt and strife that never doubt America's ability to use weapons. Never doubt. Hazin Morin, nice stream, comrade. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any feelings on the passing of Jose Maria Sisson? I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't know who this is. There's a lot of people in the world, and I apologize if this is an important person in your corner. Let's take a look. Chairman of the Communist Party of the Philippines. There you go. Jose Maria Caneas Sisson, also known by the nickname Joma, was a Filipino writer and activist who founded the Communist Party of the Philippines, the founder no less, and added elements of Maoism to its philosophy, which would later be known as national democracy. He applied the theory of Marxism, Leninism, and Maoism to the history and current circumstances of the Philippines. From August 2002, he was classified as a person supporting terrorism by the United States. I like this guy already. The European Union's second highest court ruled to delist him as a person supporting terrorism. Okay, the European Union got its shit together. And reversed the decision by member governments to freeze his assets. He would later live in the Netherlands, applying for asylum as a political refugee, so they fucked his life up. As one does. Yeah, this guy sounds like a baller. God bless. Yeah, based as shit. Controversies. Let's just take a look at his controversies. Every communist figure has controversies. Let's see what the CIA has to say. Former Senator Jovia Salonga accused Hissa of orchestrating the plaza bombing. Yeah, just some bullshit. Literally, it's followed up with citation needed. They're just straight up just like, citation needed. Yeah, we're going to accuse this guy of this, but we don't have any evidence. So, assume jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just some bullshit. Yeah, just bullshit. Literally just like the classic kind of thing so that some asshole will come into my chat and be like, You like Jose Maria Sissa? In 2008, he was given a injunction, don't you know? And that's like that's the thing that defines him, right? And that's just how it works. That's the thing that kills me about the idiots who will always say to me, like, don't you know that bad things happened under communism? Like, as if, like, when you were a 12-year-old, you sneezed really hard in class and shit your pants. And that's what defines you as a person from then on. There's literally nothing you can do. You are, from that point forward, just the dude who sneezed once and shit his pants. And you could literally, like, invent the cure for AIDS. And people would be like, yeah, it's Johnny shit his pants. Right? You'll just never get through it. Ugh, fuck this TikTok bullshit. Fuck this TikTok bullshit. This TikTok bullshit pisses me off so much, man. Like, the thing needs to be placed so, like, delicately in front of me. Anyway. See what I'm talking about? It does this dumb shit. Because it's like, oh, it's not close enough. It's not close enough, you fussy little bastard. You fussy little bastard. I hope you guys are all doing really well out there in TikTok land. I hope you're having a good one. Merry Christmas if that's your jam. Happy holidays, seasons, greetings, whatever you need to hear. Happy Hanukkah, I know Kwanzaa, all of it. Like it's the happiest season of all. Yeah, life expectancy mainly falling due to COVID-19, drug overdoses, yeah, accidental injury, yeah, other reasons included heart and liver disease and suicides, yeah. So the opioid epidemic, right, that they are literally just fueling, near as I can tell, literally cops and the CIA are just fueling the opioid epidemic because if you've got a population of people who you don't know what to do with, you better destroy their lives so they can't organize, right? Very simple. And then suicides, like poor Ronnie McNutt, right? Who we're all familiar with on this stream. God rest his soul. Yeah. We got Hazine Morin saying his books are good. Good to hear, man. I'm always happy to hear about other communists and other people who exist in the world. Jose, I hope you're playing racquetball with Jesus or whoever. Right? If maybe Buddha was your thing, I don't know. Or Karl Marx. There we go. There's one we can all agree on as good communists, right? He's playing shuffleboard with Karl now. Good old Karl Marx. So I've got a really great document here that comes out of the let me actually get this economic transformation. Where did this come out of? This public opinion research, the Innovative Research Group, right? They're a polling company. I really like polls. It's been a little while since we've seen a poll. A lot of the polling, because I mean, we're out of season. First of all, it's not election season, but this is a really good one because it's a public opinion research on the economy and specifically on the subject of economic transformation. And we've got a lot of very interesting things Point of view transformation. Half of Canadians say, so that's 53%, say the economy needs to be radically transformed. Highest amongst NDP partisans. Not surprising, right? The COVID-19 pandemic shows that we need to radically transform our economy to work differently in the future. 53% of people say this. There is always room for improvement, but the economy was working pretty well before the COVID-19 pandemic. 38% respond. So, and then 10% say they don't know, which is common. So that's pretty stark and should be pretty startling to people with any power whatsoever, that they are being told in a majority way, this is not working, we need to do something else. Now that something else is undefined, right? And then of course they've done a really good job here. For you on TikTok, you're not going to be able to see this, but on YouTube you will be able to see this. That on the right-hand column, they've got it broken down by age, gender, and political affiliation, right? So, of course, they say it's highest amongst NDP partisans, but it's not like it's low amongst all the other people, right? You take a look at the blue bars; they're still really high. You take a look. Point of view. We need to radically transform our economy. Tracks on par with August of last year. So we were saying the same shit August last year. We were like, yeah, we should probably radically transform this. And then promptly voted for the same thing. I know what we should do if we want to radically transform our economy. Vote for the same people. That's gonna do it. We got them this time, you guys. I know how to change everything. Continue doing exactly the same thing. Fantastic. Respondents find that providing access to a universal basic income is the most important change. Yeah, vote Biden, we need change. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, definitely not just two wings of the same bird, right? Definitely not just two sides of the same coin, right? Like, absolutely. Biden is a very serious candidate, right? Yeah, very, very serious. I think that the capitalist death cult will attempt a basic income out of desperation alone. I think it has run out of ideas. It doesn't know what to do. The people who are running the show are obviously clueless. They obviously don't know what they're doing. And they will, out of just sheer desperation, attempt a basic income as that unifying project, right? What do I talk about on the stream all the time? Is that we need a unifying project. What are the unifying projects in Canada, right? Like when my parents were growing up, we were literally building rail. We were literally building electrical grids. We were building roads. We were building subway systems. We were building enormous projects that were obviously there to unify the country. To say that this area is now connected by a subway system. It makes the city of Toronto an actual unit and a city that can be organized along those lines because there is a unifying project underway. But now they're dismantling many of the unifying projects, right? The universal healthcare system is one of them that they're attempting to dismantle here in Canada, right? That the conservative premiers who keep getting elected by these absolutely deranged, detached lunatics. I'm just going to pause for a second. Just remind everybody, okay? I'm going to remind everybody out in TikTok land, and I'm going to remind everybody out here on the YouTubes, okay? If you're struggling and you feel like you want to put your hand on the golden door, if you feel like you've seen enough of the show Earth, right? If you feel like you've seen enough of all this and you're going, you know what? I think it's all downhill from here and I'm getting out of here. Always remember, kids, by definition, you're going to live in the world without the boomers in it. By definition, that is going to happen. You are going to live in a world without boomers, where the oldest people are going to be guys like me, where the oldest generation is going to be the millennials. And we saw the boomers do the dumbest possible shit I think humanity is capable of doing. And we're all going to say, farewell boomers together, and then live in a world without them. Get ready for it. It's coming. There, you think about hope and change? There's your fucking hope and change right there. Forget about these politicians. Forget about this system. Forget about any of that kind of shit. The fact that people who are like, angels are real and I made all my money because I'm a hard worker, they're gone. They're just fucking gone. Like just these deranged, lead-addled, CIA bombarded, like television propaganda just right into their eyeballs, like literally indoctrinated from youth through CIA propaganda and an education system designed to absolutely warp their brain towards fascistic tendencies, and they're gone. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, let's take a look. Oh, somebody said, idealistic, communism fails, wake up. Take a look at China, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ, people are stupid. Literally go look at China. You are a stupid person, grow up. Holy shit. Respondents find that providing access to a universal basic income is the most important change. Provide Canadians with access to universal basic income? 26% of respondents said it was the most important, 15% said it was the second most important, 9% said it was the third most important. The only thing below, and then the thing below it, increase social services for vulnerable people dealing with issues such as poverty and mental illness. Can I tell you right now, I actually really like this as a Canadian. It actually warms my heart a little bit that when people are picking up the phone and being asked the question, what do you think is the most important change that we could actually go through? 53% of us, for a few years now, have been calling for some kind of radical change, and number two, the thing that most people are saying, number two, is we gotta help poor people. We gotta help the vulnerable. We gotta do it. It's not yet a majority position, 49%, but the issue directly above it at 51%, and so it is a majority, basic income. Like, I don't know what to tell people anymore. Like, these idiots who come in here talking about how you just need to bootstrap yourself and grind set and all that dumb shit. Like, these people are turning into a dwindlingly small minority of kooky lunatic fascists who we should mock and revile openly. Like, we literally should expect to watch television shows where that character is always the loser. Like, is just a dumb... Remember when you would watch, like, 80s movies and there would always be some rich asshole, and the rich asshole in the end got completely fucked over, and we all went, aha, the rich asshole got fucked over. Those guys. We need to make that the way those guys are now. These guys can't be cool anymore. We went through this period of time where we're like, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, sure, they're breaking laws and being criminals and being total assholes, but they're so cool. And look how rich they are. Yeah. We need to make media where these people are evil again. Like, where we all fundamentally understand that these people are just douchebags, that when bad things happen to them, we should celebrate. Because most of us think so. Most of us are sitting around being like, yeah, we should do more to help the poor, and we should definitely do more to, like, increase a basic income. We should create some kind of unifying project so that people actually come in together as people and actually work together so we can be a country and stay unified, right? But the people with the most amount of money are being like, no, grind set. It's all about making money for yourself, and you know how you make the most money? By working extra hard for me. And we're just supposed to buy that. Like, if you believe that, you are a gullible rube who needs to shut the fuck up. If you don't believe it but you say it anyway, you're a psychopath, and you need to shut the fuck up. It's very straightforward. Like, we've gotten to a very straightforward place. This warms my heart. From the communist perspective, we always need to point out that a basic income doesn't actually work, because The communist critique is about shifting the means of production. Who owns what, right? That a basic income will ameliorate suffering, but it will only funnel that money through the capitalist channels and continue to further enrich the very people who are responsible for the crisis in the first place. So while a basic income might be important from a emergency perspective, right? Like, I wouldn't set out to sea in a rescue dinghy, but if someone was drowning in the water, I'd throw out a rescue dinghy, right? Like, if the problem was people were falling off the edge of things, I would get people off from the edge before I put in a guardrail, that kind of thing. But what's most important is making sure that people actually own the means of production, that they actually own the businesses that they work in, instead of these fucking totalitarian setups that we have set up right now. That's my favorite, man. You just need to work harder for the dictator who owns that business that you sacrifice your life to so that they can throw you out when you're fucking 40. Providing access to a universal basic income has increased 3 points since August 2020. So not only does it have majority support, that support is increasing. I wonder if they're going to show us the breakdown. Nope. They didn't show us the breakdown of like how many conservatives do you think are on board with that, guys? Do you think it's conservatives that are super on board with that? Increasing Canadian manufacturing of medical goods and increased support for mental care are top supported actions. Yeah, no shit, as always, right? That's not new. Like, this is the thing that's really funny about this particular slide, is that it's like, that's normal. Like, it's always been that way. It's been that way since 1953. Like, yeah, we're always like, yeah, healthcare, please. Like, can we actually do something about this? Yeah, medical goods is up. Overall support. I think there's one slide that I really, really wanted to show because it was super, super cool. Because the rest of these just make sense. Like, we would like to increase our manufacturing and making our own medical supplies. Right? 75% support increased healthcare spending. Like, yeah, no shit. Like always. Right? Support increasing wages for essential and service industry workers. Yeah, no shit. Like, oh, for the people who actually do the work. 74% supporting the people who actually do the work, instead of the worthless parasites who just were given a building, like Doug Ford, right? Like, Doug Ford literally was just given a building for just being, like, not just a building, but also, like, productive capacity and the ability to create things. He was just given that. Why? Because he was born to the right guy. Like, this literally, Galen Weston, David Thompson, all of the wealthy Canadians that exist, literally their story is, I was born rich. The richest Canadian was born with $1 billion. Grind set! Get in there! You're just lazy! Just work harder! Yeah, don't expect the government to give you 360 acres of free land that they gave my grandpa. You gotta work for it! Like, time to shut up. Time to shut up. Unbefucking-believable. 75% support increasing taxes on the wealthy. Yeah, no shit. Like, we know who the parasites are. Like, we know that these wealthy people are worthless. That all they do is scheme and plan how to destroy our lives for money. That's all they do. And it's gotten extremely obvious. 75% support increasing taxes on the wealthy. Right? Yeah, 71% support improved access to affordable daycare. I actually find this access to affordable daycare thing to be really funny, because you know what would be really, really great is if people didn't need to work so fucking much. How about that? How about instead of access to affordable daycare, you just stay with your kids and not work so fucking much? How about that? How about we reduce hours? How about we make it so people can stay home? How about we recognize that most of the labor that we do is absolutely worthless? And the things that we're actually measuring as positive economic force is literally us just like trading houses with one another. Like, we're a very dim-witted people. And it's really getting fucking obvious. 68% support an increase to minimum wage. No shit. 65% support transitioning to a green economy. No shit. 62% support lowering taxes. Highest among women. Like, literally, raise taxes on the rich, lower taxes on everybody else, increase social spending. Like, where's the platform? How come we can't get this fucking done? 59% support implementing a basic income. I love this one. 35% support moving away from capitalism. 35%. Highest among women, 18 to 34%. 18 to 34, I should say. And NDP partisans. Right? So 17% strongly support. 18% somewhat support. 31%, and this is the tail of the tape. This is actually really, really interesting. So 35% support moving away from capitalism. 31% are neutral. And 25% oppose it. With only 8% saying they don't know. 35% support moving away from capitalism. Hi, how you doing? Hello, my name's the Canadian Commie. We should dismantle capitalism and probably start incarcerating some of them. Only 25% oppose. That means, hello, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I'm the majority. Me. I'm in the majority position. These losers that are walking around saying, capitalism's the greatest thing that ever happened and you're stupid if you think, you're in the minority. You're the one that's wrong. And we all know it's true. And that number, neither support or oppose, which way do you think those people are going to start moving as the capitalist system begins to continue to decay and break apart? As the system begins to fall apart, as the country begins to balkanize, as the capitalists scramble to just hoover up as much wealth as they possibly can for themselves to ensure their own legacy and their own prestige. As the climate crisis begins to continue to unfold while the oil companies do everything they can to convince you it's not happening. As the system obviously betrays your children in front of your eyes. You will literally be in a house where your children will be shivering and saying, Daddy, I'm hungry. And which way do you think that 31% is going to go? You think they're going to go, this system's working, I just need to grind that harder. Yeah, this system, I just need to grind that harder. Or do you think they're just going to be, or do you think they're going to listen to me? Do you think they're going to listen to me? Do you think that 31% is going to go, yeah, this guy who's been saying maybe we should own the means of production instead of these lunatics who go to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island. Maybe that's how the society should be organized. Maybe instead of listening to obvious psychopaths who are clearly abandoning us, we should take matters into our own hands. Maybe that's a good way of going about this, right? And I love this because it's nice to know that I'm in the majority. It's nice to know that most people think the way I think. That we should probably do away with this shit, right? We should probably be done with it. And who has the lowest amount of support? Oh, it's the old. The old have the lowest amount of support. We can see it right here. If you're over the age of 55, right? You're still walking around being like, capitalism's the greatest thing because my daddy gave me free land. It's done. It's over. You're going to die. You're going to die. We're going to live in a world without you, right? Straight up. And then we'll be able to put in sensible, reasonable policies because you'll be gone. And it is that simple. Really looking forward to it. Cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to it. Ugh. Ronald Reagan is the stupidest fucking human being to ever operate a nation state to ever live. I mean, Ronald Reagan didn't operate anything. Like, Ronald Reagan didn't even operate his own, like, shoes, I bet. Like, Ronald Reagan wasn't in charge of anything, dude. Like, he made a bunch of speeches. He had a whole bunch of speeches. But Ronald Reagan was straight up told what to do, and he did it. That's, like, Ronald Reagan's not in charge. He's not in charge of anything. They're not going to let somebody like Ronald Reagan make decisions. Santora e Britannia, hearing that helped removed a massive burden on my mind. What, the boomer thing? That's why I've been saying it a lot recently. I've been saying that more and more recently. I've been putting in chat here and there. I've been dabbling with it, and just today I finally decided I'm going to push my chips in on it all the way and really make it a larger talking plank. For a lot of reasons. Reason number one, get fucked, boomers. Get the fuck out of here. Faster. Go. Faster. Reason two, it's true. Like, it's just fucking true. And I really do think that there's just a lot of fucking people out in the world who are just like, why am I here? What's the point of this? This place is like one step removed from literal hell. Like, all of our labor is funneled into Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island, and you know it's true, right? All of the work that you do, you get a little tiny sliver of it, and you get to have food and shelter and watch as much porn as you want, right? That's the deal. Maybe you'll have enough to buy some booze or something, so you can cry alone in your apartment by yourself, right? And more, you don't even get the apartment, right? That's the fucking deal. And all the rest of the money that you make goes to Jeffrey Epstein, right? Or people like him, or people who use his services. And you know it. You fucking know it. And so you got a whole... Why do you think there are all these suicides happening? Well, especially amongst veterans. People who literally went overseas and killed people. Got PTSD and bombed the shit out of places they shouldn't have been in the first place. And then came home and realized, oh shit, we're the Nazis, obviously. Like, obviously we're the Nazis. Like, to say anything else at this point is brain dead. You literally got to be brain dead to think that we're anything but the Nazis at this point. And so you got a lot of people asking, why am I even here? Good people like Ronnie McNutt shot himself on live stream. We all saw it. We all know. Right? Well, why stick around? Well, I'll give you a good fucking reason. The boomers will be dead soon. Sooner than you think. Good riddance. Faster. Make the world better. Quicker, please. And this right here, proof positive. That males over the age of 55, only 24% say that they support moving away from capitalism. Males 18 to 34, 43% say they move. Yeah, okay. Faster. Faster. Die faster, please. Quicker. That's why I support cutting social services for the elderly. Let's get them fucking out of here. That's a joke. That's a fucking joke. But just like, these people are fuck-ups. Like, they're total fuck-ups. Like, they don't even care about their own families. They don't even care about their own children. It's obvious. And I'm not gonna let them off the hook. They're gonna know it. They're gonna know it by the time they're on that deathbed, by the time they're looking at that gravestone, they're gonna hear this voice in their ear saying, "You are nothing but a burden to us. Hurry up and die. Fuck off." Ugh. Grinning Guy says, I can't wait to see the millennial generation corrupted by capitalism and hierarchy. It is happening, for sure. It will be like watching the slow corruption of Britney Spears. I mean, Britney Spears is a little bit different. She's literally a slave. Like, she's like the conservatorship? Like, she was born into this really fucked up situation. So she was never, like, corrupted. She was just, like, literally just, like, in a slave situation where the second she acted out as a person does, they literally, like, locked shackles on her. And she had, like, a little person who would, like, follow her around and schedule her life. It's, like, the creepiest shit you've ever heard of. Like, it's some creepy, like, Stepford Wives shit. That, like, Britney Spears was like a fucking slave. The Free Britney movement was completely legitimate. Free Britney. It's her story is so fucked up. And we all watched it happen. We watched a 15-year-old girl be sexualized in front of us in Catholic schoolgirl outfits, singing sexy songs to grown men, right? As a 15-year-old girl, we watched this, and the entire time she was a fucking slave. We saw it with our eyes. Like, you can't get more well, I mean, you can obviously get more fucked up than this, but it's pretty fucked up. Like, it's pretty fucked up. And that story just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. It's not going to stop, and it's going to get fucking weirder. Like, especially once the pedo angle comes into it, which is 100% already here. You're like, ugh. AOC is the clue that this will happen. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying, like, you're seeing, like, AOC get corrupted, and she's obviously, but I don't know that she was, like, as genuine as people think. I think that that's where I come. Like, she knew what her brand was. She understood what to say, right? Like, was AOC corrupted, or did we all just finally recognize that she's just another rich, shitty politician, right? Like, which one of those two do you think are more likely? Do you think that AOC was actually like, I'm going to go in there and I'm actually going to do change. I'm actually going to, or do you think that she knew what her brand was, right? She understood that she was the Hulk Hogan, that she was supposed to go in there and be like, oh yeah, brother, we're going to go in there, we're going to tear down the walls of the patriarchy, and we're going to go after the fat cats in Washington and go after the deep state and tear it all to pieces, and had everybody go like, yeah, let's do all of those things that I really like. And then she went there and just votes party lines. Like, she's never voted against the party. Like, she's always... Martin coming in with a good first look, dude. Tapping in all caps doesn't make you look unhinged at all, dude. Doesn't make you look fucking like a loser at all. Coming in with all caps. My parents lived under a communist regime in Eastern Europe, and they certainly weren't fascists who worked for the Nazi regime. Like, what's the good points of communism that will never work and be true? I mean, take a look at China. Stop embarrassing yourself. Right? I know that your mommy and daddy told you that communism doesn't work, but you have eyes and you can see, right? It's time to grow up, right? It's time to grow up and understand that your parents are not the defining feature of the world, right? It's time to look around the world, actually see the world for what it is, see what's actually succeeding, see what's actually working. Maybe stop pretending like your mom and dad know what the fuck they're talking about. Especially if they were living in a quote-unquote communist regime in Eastern Europe during the decline of communism. Yeah, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, literally the project of communism is abandoned, and that's your definition? Like, oh, China literally has been massacring Uyghurs. I love CIA propaganda. CIA propaganda's the best! Yes, CIA propaganda! I love it so much! Grow up. Grow up. Fucking grow up. You're literally being you're being like face fucked CIA propaganda, and you're just like, yeah, I love it. Oh god, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, daddy, CIA. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like the Uyghur genocide, I love it, right? We've got satellites that can literally pinpoint, we can literally see signs. You can see words on signs, right? You can see words on. Now, it's not CIA propaganda in Poland. It's Nazi propaganda you're listening to. Yeah, we got a little Nazi in chat. Pretty straightforward. Like, pretty straightforward, dude. You're just listening to fucking Nazi talking points and CIA propaganda. That's what you're doing. In Poland, that's exactly what you're doing. Yeah, you do, you chud. I'm so exhausted with these guys. Like, just and I love that these losers come in here with their dicks out, thinking that they've got a point, and they're just fucking losers. Like, they're just fucking losers. Get the fuck out of here. Just get the fuck out of here. Just so... I'm at my wit's end with these people. Like, there's a giant organization, a massive multi-billion-dollar organization called the CIA. It's a rogue terrorist organization. And support the Nazis. Bye, Nazi. Fuck you. I hope you die. I literally hope you die. I hope that someone kills you. I hope that happens. Bye, Nazi. Bye. You can go too, dude. I don't need to tolerate your bullshit. Like, I'm Polish and support the Nazis. Thanks a lot for having me support people who killed my people. Yeah, they were right to kill your people. They were right to kill Nazis. We should kill Nazis. If you think that you should not kill Nazis, then you are a Nazi, which you admit anyway. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, you're the biggest loser in history. You're the biggest loser in history. No one is a bigger fucking loser than these Nazis. They literally fought one war. Lost. And these people are walking around being like, Nazism is good, actually. What a fucking loser. Get the fuck out of here. I have a Discord server. You can donate even $1 to my Patreon. It's in the description. You can donate even $1 to my Patreon, and it'll get you into the Discord. Until you prove to me you shouldn't be there, and then you'll be gone. Oh. See what I gotta put up with? You see what I gotta fucking put up with? Literal Nazis coming into my chat saying, Communism never works. I know so because I'm a Nazi and support Nazis. So communism never works. As a Nazi. This is what we put up with. This is what we fucking put up with. At this stage in the game, I'm done with this shit. If you come into this chat and you start talking this whole like communism doesn't work, I assume you're a Nazi. That's my assumption. Because you got to be brain dead. You got to be brain dead. And the only type of person who's going to be a Nazi is a psychopath and a brain dead loser. Simple as that. Greetings from the UK. Mark Brassey, good to see you, bud. Hope you're here to be beautiful. Sebi, day in the life of these fuckers who came in. Work, do nothing, fuck around, binge Netflix and watch porn. Like, fucking, yeah, capitalism is great. Yeah, I mean, if you've got, like, nothing else going on, right? And like, we if you talk to the elderly, like, if you actually talk to the elderly, and you ask them, like, hey, what did you think about that whole thing that you just did, that whole life that you just led? A lot of them are just like, I wish I didn't work so much. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like, no shit. All you did is enrich a psychopath who went to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island. That's all you did, right? Like, you're not doing anything else. Like, you're not helping. You're not making the world a better place. That's what I love about these guys coming in defending capitalism, being like, oh, we're increasing productivity. Yeah, increasing the productivity of Jeffrey Epstein's fucking pedophile island. I love that we just don't talk about this shit. I love that we literally the defenders of capitalism will be like, the hierarchy is important to maintain because there's a triangle and it's a competence and you stand at the top of the competence. And there's literally no one being like, competent at what? And who stands on the top? Oh, it's competent at raping children. It's competent at being deceitful. It's competent at being a thief, right? And then you get to stand on top of it if you rape children very well. Yeah, there's your hierarchy of competence. There's your whole Jordan Peterson hierarchy of competence. That he argues for competence and says competence is the most important thing. Well, competence at what? Viva la revolution. Yeah, let's fucking get it. Let's fucking get it. Nah, I gotta tell you, the United States and Canada are not going to experience a leftist revolution. We are going to balkanize. That if I was a betting man, if I had money to lose, and if there was a way to bet on this, we're going to balkanize. We're going to balkanize before we have a revolution. We're too big. We're too stupid. We're too disorganized. We're too childish. We're too incapable. We're too incompetent. We are not ready to actually gather en masse and have a revolution and have it actually work. It's not going to go down that way. And even if it did work, it would only work in a very specific location. So you could have a revolution in, like, Maine, or a revolution in, like, New Brunswick, right? Or Alberta. Let's go all the way. You could have some kind of crazy thing in Alberta, but the rest of the country is not going to go with you. So even if you did have your communist revolution inside of your province or state, right, it's just going to begin a process of balkanization, and the entire country is going to break apart. And there's a lot of historical precedent for this, right? If you actually look at most of the great empires of the world, right, the Roman Empire, the Qing dynasty, the Ming dynasty, right, a lot of the Chinese empires, a lot of the Indian empires, right? You take a look at the great empires across Africa. Why did they fall apart? Why did they break up? They balkanize. They just begin to recognize and realize that there's no reason for them to stay together. That the federated body no longer operates for the benefit of the people. And there is no unifying project. And so individual states just start splitting off. And I suspect that that's what we're going to see before a revolution. So when you say Viva Revolution, I say Viva Balkanization, because that's going to have to happen first. We're not ready for a revolution. Like, we're really seriously not there. Europe is slightly different, but yes, I know conventional revolution is a far cry from the current status quo. I really, really worry about Europe, dude. I worry about Europe because once the dollar plummets in value, and America is forced to recede its military-industrial complex, not just because enlistment is down, not just because they are being abandoned by the populace they are in turn abandoning, not just because of that, but because they literally won't be able to buy the resources they need to actually move these engines of death around the globe. Once that begins to happen, the rhetoric surrounding Trump and the Republicans about getting out of NATO is going to get louder. And eventually America abandons NATO. Eventually America abandons Israel, right? Like that's when you know shit's going to get really real. Like that's when things are going to get really, really crazy. Is when America actually finally does abandon Israel, which they will do. Like America abandons everybody. It's what we do. It's who we are. And so when we abandon Europe, I don't know what's keeping Europe together. I don't know what's happening in Europe. Like, what's actually keeping Europe together? It's not like Europe has a long history of peace, right? It's not like Europe looks at each other and goes, yeah, we're just going to peacefully agree how to organize this properly so we can all stay at peace with one another. Europe has a very long history of internal conflict and war. Literally the only reason it hasn't continued post-World War II is because the United States just hovering over its shoulder, right? So I don't see Europe getting out of this. Like, I think they're, especially once their colonial power starts to wane. Like, everybody's always like, oh, but social democracy. Yeah, like, you can call it social democracy if you like, but you have colonies. Like, there are French colonies and Spanish colonies and British colonies that you're still making money and still making bullshit from just extraction of wealth from these colonies, and that's going to eventually end. Yeah, Europe will lose its grip on Africa, especially as China begins to build Africa up, right? And Africa begins to see that there are other trading partners that have more validity. Like, it's just the classic bad boyfriend syndrome. Like, it's just, if you're a bad boyfriend and you treat your girlfriend like shit long enough, she's going to try to find another man. Like, that's what's happening. I donate on Patreon, bro. I appreciate that, Dita. I appreciate that. At the end of today's stream, I will send you an email, okay, bud? And you'll get into the Discord. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And if you would like to donate, if you'd like to like, share, subscribe, hit the bells, hit the whistles, give the diamonds, give all the stuff, right? Have all of the things, have all the stuff. I'm actually based. Thank you. I value and appreciate you as a human being, too. Are you a ML, which is Marxist-Leninist? I mean, yes, question mark. Look, I'm going to tell you how this actually worked for me, okay? Straight up. I started calling myself a communist because everyone else called me a communist. I literally hadn't read any of the literature. I hadn't read Marx. I hadn't read Lenin. I hadn't read Stalin. I have now, obviously, but Ethan, I'm going to answer your question, dude. These are actually really good questions. I literally would just say, why are there homeless people? Like, what's up with the homeless people? And when people said to me, oh, they're just lazy and they need to work harder, I was like, probably not. Like for real. Like, probably not. That seems like the least likely thing. And doesn't it make sense that it's more likely that we have a structure of some kind that in which people, like, we can go and vote for things. Like, why can't we just vote away homelessness? Why can't we just walk in the building and be like, yeah, I don't like that there's homeless people. Like, just give them houses. Like, we have all these resources. We've got all this ability. We're saying that we're the greatest country in the world. Like, we can do all this kind of stuff. We can mobilize an army to literally go across an ocean. We can literally move tens, hundreds of thousands of men. We can move them across an ocean and put them on the other side and equip them to be prepared to fight a war. But we can't take a guy living on the street and put him inside of a building that's right beside him, that he's literally sleeping outside of. Just that, no, doesn't make any sense. And I would talk this way and people were like, that's commie talking. You know what, communism is bad because I don't know anything and I love CIA propaganda. So they just started calling me a communist. So I've just eventually, I think Peterson was the straw that broke the camel's back. He came out against communism, was like, oh, if this guy's coming out against communism, then I'm a communist. And that's when I read the Communist Manifesto, and that's when I read Lenin and Stalin and Trotsky and all these guys and started to put it all in. And almost immediately I was like, yeah, no, they did it. Like they're right. Like they're right. Like they know what's up. And then I started looking at the history of China, and we're coming to your point, Ethan, which I hope this is honestly asked, Ethan, because I often find that people ask these questions in bad faith, but you seem like you're asking in good faith. So how can I be pro-China as a Marxist-Leninist, which I'm not really a Marxist-Leninist. I think Marxist is probably where I would land myself the most, like Marx, right? Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. So how can I be pro-China when A, there's a market economy? Communists are not against market economies, right? That the idea of a Marxist economy, the idea of a market economy, like most economies are market economies, right? That what Marxism and what communism is focused on is who owns the actual productive forces. Are they privately held, or are they actually owned on behalf of the public? So this idea of, there's a market, therefore it's not communism, I think it's just like straight up right off the bat 0%. No go. That's a no from me, dog. Communists are not anti-market, right? B, and this is the more interesting question. Half of the economy is privately owned. It's not half, it's about 40%, but a fair enough point. And you're right? That a large enough section of the economy is privately held and is run by capitalists. And that you are getting into probably the most contentious decision that was made in the Communist Party, in the history of the Communist Party, which happened under Deng, which was Deng introducing economic reforms by allowing foreign capital into China. This is a big moment when lots of communists, Maoists especially, because Mao was very much against this idea. He didn't like this idea. He wanted to continue an internal growing of the economy. But other communists obviously saw that, no, if we really want to grow China, and if we really want to get wealth into this place, then we will have to trade with the rest of the world. And the reality is that the rest of the world is largely capitalist. And if we want to trade with capitalists, then sections of our society are going to need to be structured capitalist. It's going to have to be that way. And what you see happen is you see Deng, who is challenged. Like it's not like he just dictated this and it happened, right? He is challenged by the Maoists. There's unfortunate shit that happens, very much like the Stalin Trotsky break. You have like the Gang of Four and all this kind of stuff, right? Unfortunate shit that happens, as they do. And then what you end up with is you end up with a statement from Deng that I think captures the entire thing, which is, let some people get rich first. And in that statement, there was something of an understanding that we can do this because we have a strong structure. We've created a strong, powerful communist structure, which is the National People's Congress. And it's this ruling class structure that Deng believed would not be corrupted by these capitalists. And that Xi Jinping now he ran on a platform on decorruptifying, if you like a word, how's that for a word, on removing corruption from the National People's Congress. And so Deng made a gambit, without a doubt. Without a doubt it was a gambit. And it could have gone bad. It could have. But he placed his faith in the structure of the Communist Party and the National People's Congress, and they successfully did something that Stalin and the Soviets were never able to do, which was that they successfully passed the baton from one generation to the next and said, now it's up to you to complete what we started. What did Deng start? He began reforms to allow capitalists into the country under the statement, let some people get rich first, under the Leninist idea of let's learn directly from the capitalists. How do the capitalists run these businesses? Let's learn directly from them. Let's build up our productive capacity alongside the capitalists, with the understanding that a time will come when we will need to seize those productive forces. And what you're seeing under Xi Jinping now, today, like literally last year, you saw this. You're seeing when systems of capitalism fail, because remember, they're Marxists, right? They're communists. They understand systems of capitalism fail. Systems of capitalism fail. And the difference between what the Chinese do and what the Americans do is that when the systems of capital fail, they tell the capitalists to go get bent and they bail out the workers. And that's what's going on in China, near as I can tell. That the success of China, like, it's a 4,000-year-old civilization. It's not like America. In America, you have like a Democrat head pop up and go, we're going to do this thing. And even if he's successful, then the Republican head pops up and goes, we're going to... And then they smash that apart. And then this guy comes up and smashes that apart. And then this guy comes and smashes this apart. And then this guy comes and smashes this apart. And so you have two parties that are constantly crashing into one another, smashing each other's shit apart, while they all work on behalf of a bunch of capitalists who are just carving up the nation to steal as much resources as they can. Well, in China, they've got a structure. In China, they've got a structure. Yeah, first of all, if you say the word Vosh in here in anything but a complete and total insult, get the fuck out. Vosh is a fucking CIA spook. He's a loser. If you have any structure whatsoever that, if you've got any structure whatsoever, that the Chinese structure, like in America, you can literally just win an election, right? If you win the election to be the governor, congratulations, you're the fucking governor now, right? You can write law. Like Ron DeSantis, right? Ron DeSantis literally name at least one successful communist nation. China, get the fuck out of here. Shut up. Name at least one. China, Vietnam, North Korea, Cuba. Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Just embarrassing twat bags. Like, fuck you. Read a book. Like, fucking... I don't have the patience for this right now. Dude, tell me this is recording because you need to upload this explanation? Yeah, I mean, it's on YouTube. It's always on YouTube. Now, of course you can ask a question. But, like, Jesus Christ with this, like, name one successful communist nation except the one that's doing the best in the world right now. Like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. In America, you just need to win one election. If you win one fucking election, you get to run shit. If you literally convince a bunch of gullible rubes through your enormous amount of wealth, power, and prestige that you should be the guy that's in charge, then they'll literally hand you the golden keys and you can write laws. You can be like, I think that black people should go to bed at 10 p.m. You can write that. And people will have to be like, well, we should see if that's serious or not, and actually contemplate it as if it's a serious thing to be contemplated. Because he won a single election. In China, if you win the election, because they have elections, they're not a dictatorship, kids. If you win an election, that means that you go to the National People's Congress. That makes you enter the front door of the structure of the National People's Congress. That means, congratulations, welcome, you are here to be trained how to run a country. We're not just going to hand you the golden pen and let you start writing laws as if you know what you're fucking talking about. We're actually going to say, hey, are you capable? Do you have competence? Are you smart? Do you have a brain? They're going to take you, and they're going to send you to a small village, which in China is like 10,000 people, right? They're going to send you to a place where there's not so many people. You can't fuck up so bad. And then, you know what they're going to do? Crazy thought, I know. This is wild to think about. They're going to leave you there for a bit. And then they're going to go talk to the people you ruled over. And they're going to go, what do you think about that guy? And they're going to do an assessment. And like North Korea, a lot of people are starving. Wank, 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 wank. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Dr. Jones, I like literally went through this just now. Just fucking watch the recording. I don't know what to tell you. Just watch the fucking recording. Like, I'm not going to say it all again. They're basically kind of capitalist, right? Like, kids, type in National People's Congress into your YouTubes, into your Googles, right? National People's Congress, Wikipedia. Click on that link. Read this. Okay? This is the structure of the National People's Congress. They are aware that there is private ownership within the borders of China, right? They had to do it in order to increase the economic power. It's obviously worked. Like, it's obviously worked, right? And anybody's going to stand up and tell me that China is not doing very well? Fuck off. Literally American flag, Dr. Eagle, like, slag off, dude. I don't got time for your stupid shit. I'm not a babysitter. Get the fuck out of here. The Sino-Soviet split was a massive calamity to China economically, yeah, and they were reeling from it until dang. Yeah, how many people actually talk about this part? Yeah. I mean, you can live in, like, this theory land if you like. Like, you can live in a land where, like, well, theoretically, the theory of the theory and on the paper. There just comes a moment when, like, reality asserts itself, and you've got to make a choice between two bad decisions, right? Mason coming in with a strong one. We truly need to embrace communism. Thank you, sir. Yeah, don't worry about the starvation in your own country, Dr. Jones. Yeah, the poorest country in the world are capitalist. Half of America. Like, this is what makes this is what is making this really fucking embarrassing for these capitalist simps, right? And at this point, it's simping. There's no rational reason to hang on to capitalism. There's no logical reason, unless capitalism is literally jerking you off right now because your daddy gave you free land or something, right? You got nothing. It's simply simping. It's simply simping. Marianne coming in with an absolute. Guys, we got to look at this one. We got to look at this one because this one's hilarious in its stupidity. It's so fucking stupid. I can't even begin to tell you how stupid these people are. When Korea was split up, i.e. the imperialists went in and leveled North Korea to the ground, literally 85% of their buildings were destroyed. One part was communist. Yeah, the one that got leveled to the ground, right? Remember when 85% of North Korea was destroyed by imperial powers? No, because you're stupid. Coming in here like that didn't happen, because you're a moron. One part was communist, the other was capitalist. Tell me which one is more successful. Explain a better economic ideology. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Yeah, they destroyed the country, placed heavy sanctions on it, ensured that it was isolated and decimated to rubble. The fact that the country has rebuilt and is as strong as it is today is an absolute testament to the power of communism. You absolute illiterate twit. Shut your mouth. Stop participating. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. It tells you something that the people who do the Vosh thing, like, that's all they got. Like, it's just pathetic. It's just like little kids. No, I shouldn't say it's like little kids. It's just little kids. Like, this fucking Nazi apologencia that comes into this chat. Just unfucking believable. Literally, we destroyed a country, ripped it apart, decimated it completely, but our system's the best. Shut up. Like, fucking Nazis. Ugh. Yeah, one half is a U.S. colony, the other's literally sanctioned. Yeah, do you know what sanctions are? Probably not. Cotton, how you doing? I'm really on your energy today, bud. I'm with you, Cotton. I feel it. Last couple of weeks, you've been coming into my chat with this like real like aggressive energy, and I got it. I've caught it. Eric, an absolute pleasure to see you, bud. I know you commented earlier, dude. I completely missed it. Hold on, where are you? Where are you? Good evening. Yeah, you said good evening, and I missed it. Then you said something. You said something. There it is. I just posted a picture from Twitter about how census disproved the claim Stalin killed. Yeah, yeah, fucking great. Like, I'm just like, I'm just like, you know what, dude? Absolutely. Where is this shit? Here we go. Random moron with tank character. Oh yeah, here we go. Stalin the mass murderer? Not statistically possible. Yeah, like, this is good for communists, I think. That internally, this is like what I like to call a little like preaching to the choir moment, which is great. This is the Discord, we're preaching to the choir. And you have a little moment of just like solidarity with one another. Like, that's right. Not statistically possible. The capitalists don't give a fuck at all. Have a good one, Mason. I hope you're doing well out in the world, bud. Hope you're doing well out in the world. Just like Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, I shouldn't be surprised, you know? I just shouldn't be surprised. Like, what was it? The Barbara Bush Center for Literacy says that 60% of us are functionally illiterate. Like, and like, to be really fair, like, we're just completely jammed by CIA propaganda all the time. Like, literally, we might as well be wearing, like, VR headsets. Like, we're staring into these phones, and the CIA is just like the most obvious dumb shit you've ever seen in your fucking life. Like, the most obvious dumb shit you've ever seen in your life. Opinions on Justin Trudeau from a man named Curious Ray. Justin Trudeau's always been in over his head. He literally is in the position because his name is Trudeau. If you ever want to see anybody who, like, when we start talking about privilege, we're talking about Justin Trudeau. Literally, he's the leader of the country because he has his daddy's name. That's it. That he has no vision for Canada. Near as I can tell, his vision for Canada is just do what the capitalists say. And I think for the most part, he's just reading cue cards. Like literally, I think he stands in front of a podium and the oil sector just hands him a cue card. Like, the whole carbon tax thing that put the economists, the environmentalists to sleep, right? It literally was a policy that was handed to him by the fossil fuel industry. And he said, well, the experts have said this is the thing that we should definitely do. The people who are responsible for the crisis, who created the crisis, and then funded disinformation campaigns in order to lie to the public about the crisis, are now handing the Prime Minister of Canada cue cards and policies of what to do to alleviate the crisis that they lied about and created. Could you say the cons and pros with communism? I think pros, everybody gets shelter and food, right? Real straightforward shit. You know, everyone gets food and shelter. They tend to do things like reduce poverty, reduce homelessness. They tend to actually take a look at the poor, the needy. They tend to create a literate populace. They actually care about building a society, right? The cons are usually that the people who are running the society believe so much in the goodness of people, that goodness is usually right, that they go really soft on their enemies. That's my big critique. Like, Stalin could have killed a lot more Nazis and he chose not to. Like, we could have been rid of a lot more of these fucking Nazis. He chose not to. And same situation with the kulaks. I think that he thought that the kulaks were going to act more rationally and with more empathy than they did, right? But they didn't. Very straightforwardly, Like here in the West, when we talk about the kulaks, we think about like fucking hobbits. These people were slavers. They were just as bad as the Confederates. Like, I'm glad that they got what was coming to them. Stalin should have been harder on them. Why is North Korea so focused on nuclear and missile tests? Are you kidding me, Richard? Like, for real, dude. Full stop. Is this a joke? Like, are you telling me a joke right now, or is this a serious question? And I would actually like you to answer. Like, are you joking, or do you want a real answer? Because I'm not going to waste my time if it's just a joke. Yeah, but exactly how are they going to look after the poor? By taking the poor and the homeless and putting them in the empty houses. Did you know that for every homeless person, there are 5 empty houses? Did you know that? Are you aware of that? Talking about fossil fuel, look up in the Discord about the article that I posted where there was a climate scientist. Yeah, I saw this. Yeah. No, it's just more disinformation, right? Like, it's just more bullshit. It's just absolutely more complete and total bullshit. Happy holidays to you, Rusty. Absolute pleasure to see you, bud. Yeah. Snowman, I've been really snarky today. I can feel it. I've been banning people. I've been feeling like I'm hatcheting. Like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm kind of coming at you with that. But I want you to know that I appreciate your commentary, bud. And that no hard feelings. Like, I got to put myself in check. I'm feeling a little spicy. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had a drink after work, okay? So I'm feeling... Look at this loser. Imagine being this big a loser. Like, literally there's someone who... What is it? Is it 5 minutes or 10 minutes? You've got to subscribe to my channel, right? You've got to subscribe to my channel. You got to wait like a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, in order to post something. And this guy, for the 3rd time, has come in with some dumb Vosh thing, and he's talking about my hairline. Yeah, there's my receding hairline, guys. Yeah, here it is. Nothing I can do about it. My dad went bald when he was 18. My brother went bald when he was 20. I'm the lucky one in the family, right? I got a nice thing. I'm thinking of cutting this, though. I want this to come down. And kind of more cascade like this. And then I'm going to start doing cool things with it. I think I'm just being impatient with it. I think it'll work, but I'm also getting older, you know what I mean? Like, I'm almost 40 now. And I worry that I'm getting into that, like, you know what I'm talking about, the 40-year-old dude with the ponytail. Do you know what I'm talking about? We all know. I'm worried that I'm getting into that kind of vibe with this shit, and I'm trying to do something else, and I hope it manifests, and I want to believe in it. In any case. Yeah, so there you can see, right? And so what I like to do is I'll usually shave this side of my head, right? Because I got that receding hairline, so I'll just shave this side of my head, kind of lean into it. Sometimes I get a nice fade into the beard, right? It takes a lot to deal with. And so if you're going to come in here and make fun of me because of my genetics or whatever, I think you're just pathetic. Like, it's just pathetic. All right, here we go. It was a question. Real answer, please. Okay, Richard. Why is North Korea so focused on nuclear and missile tests? So, if you are familiar with the television show MASH, you know about the Korean War. Well, during the Korean War, America leveled North Korea to the ground, destroyed about 85% of their buildings, literally turned the place to rubble. It's a miracle they have infrastructure today. And that miracle's name is communism, by the way. And so, why is North Korea so interested in nuclear tests and nuclear bombs and nuclear things? So that the people who came and destroyed their country, like they did not even 100 years ago, won't do it again. I think that's a very reasonable reason to want to shake a threat at the people who have proven time and time again that they are more than willing to come into your country and level it to the ground. 85% of the buildings were destroyed. Yeah, rattle that nuke. Rattle that fucking nuke. And if you think they shouldn't, I think you might be a Nazi. Like, that's the level we're talking about here. Yeah, when you look down the signatures of businessmen, doctors, engineers, yeah, not people who've actually studied the thing. So what they're doing now is they're literally just giving money to billionaires, or sorry, they're giving money to professionals and saying, just sign this document. And people are like, okay, I'll take $10,000 and sign a document that I've got no business signing. Right? And they're just trying to be like, look, 1,200, 1,400 people said so. Like, I hope that these guys end up at the Hague. I genuinely hope that the people, that the heads and the executives and the owners of the fossil fuel industry end up in some kind of position where they are hung. I hope that happens. Because what they have done is a crime not just against their nation, not just against humanity, not just against the species, but against their own children. Like, these people are rapacious psychopaths and should be treated as such. King of Mercia. Well, God, royalty. Oh, Your Majesty. You said that the USA was imperialist, but the North Koreans invaded, blah, 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 blah. Moving on. Like, stop listening to the CIA, dude. Like, it was a war. Yes, I'm sure the North Koreans crossed the little line. Like, I'm sure that happened. While the Americans were leveling their country and while the Americans were arming them and bombing the shit, arming the South Koreans and bombing the shit, I'm sure. I'm absolutely dead positive that the North Koreans crossed your little line. For sure. I almost guarantee that happened. Weird position, dude. Really, really weird, creepy position, frankly, from my perspective. Mark, Stalin tried to get the West to form an alliance against the Nazis. They refused, so he formed a pact with Hitler to buy time to build up his military. Soviets lost 26 million, yeah. Yeah, people like to bang on about this, like, oh no, Stalin did diplomacy like we did. Like, we signed pacts with the Nazis. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's embarrassing. Like, it's just embarrassing. Like, I enjoy your streams while you destroy these children's arguments. Thank you. At this point, it's not even really arguments. It's just literally pointing at reality, saying, hey, did you know that reality exists? And then people go, oh, reality! And that's basically what's happening. Like, these are not arguments. Like, that's what's so crazy about this. Like, nothing that I am presenting to you is arguments. It's just the things the CIA doesn't tell you. Literally. Like, that's literally all it is. That let's use North Korea, because that's just been in the chat, right? That the North Korea, well, North Korea is shaking a bomb and a nuclear kind of thing. Yeah, because we destroyed them. Do you not know about that? No, you didn't? Well, now you do. What are you going to do with that information? Like, America showed up on North Korea's doorstep, leveled it, and you just pretend like it didn't happen. Weird. Really, really weird. And that's not really an argument. It's just like a statement of the facts. And it just shows you that the elimination of facts and evidence from the culture is the goal of the ruling class. That they're not in, like, they're more than happy to allow you to have all the free speech you want as long as you remain illiterate. As long as you don't know anything, then you can have all the free speech you like. Talk about whatever you like because you don't know anything. Right? Nor are you interested to really know anything. Not really. Do you think 9/11 was an inside job, or do you think Afghani terrorists did it? Classic. I don't really waste my time on the 9/11 stuff. I think it's a waste of time. Like, George W. Bush was a war criminal. He went on Ellen last year. Like, we've got him nailed for, like, real significant crimes. Like, things that are real. Like, we got him. 100%. No bullshit. Like, we can take him to the Hague And there's a reason why the United States no longer abides by the rulings of the Hague. Because they know that if they had to abide by the rulings of the Hague, that they would all go to jail. Like, they would all go to jail. Are you kidding me? The invasion of Iraq alone? Like, it's a significant war crime. Like, as bad as anything Hitler ever did. And like, George W. Bush should go to the Hague and probably be hung. As an obvious, very clear war criminal. Like, very clear. Right? Is there any... Do we need to expose the clarity of this anymore? George W. Bush literally sat in front of the United Nations and said, if you're not with us, you're against us. And said, you're an irrelevant institution and we're going to do it anyway. So literally, the United States under George W. Bush went rogue, attacked a nation that had nothing to do with the event that happened, which was 9/11, destroyed it, has killed millions of people, stole the oil, extracted resources. The conflict is still happening and it's spread throughout the entire region. Created a quagmire, as they like to call it, right? And it gets treated like a strategic whoopsie doodle. We owned that anyway, but we shouldn't have done that. Oopsie doo, right? When it's like one of the great abominations of the modern era, right? And again, worth stating, as bad as anything Hitler ever did. And he's not in jail. He's not going to court. Nobody's picking him up and being like, hey, we're going to take you to the Hague. None of that's happening. So when you stand in front of me and say, what do you think about 9/11? I say, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. Bush did 9/11. Who cares? Doesn't matter to me even a little. I don't care. It's a waste of time. Do you know how the South Korea was repaired? The U.S. military-industrial complex. That's right. That's my favorite thing. Americans really love to say, South Korea is doing so great. Yeah, because they took your money away from you, right? And your decaying empire and your decaying infrastructure and your decaying society. They took the money that's meant for that and they spent it on this stupid war. Like they're doing in other places just now. Have you heard about the Rothschilds family? Yeah, I know about the Rothschilds family. Yeah. Is this gonna take a turn, Snowman? Sometimes people bring up the Rothschilds and then suddenly I'm talking about Jews. Is this gonna take a Jew turn? Are you gonna suddenly start talking to me about very specific things that I definitely just ban people over? Yes, I've heard of the Rothschild family. They're just another shitty group of bankers. Like, that's all. They're the same as the Morgans. They're the same as any of these. I can't think. The Rockefellers, right? They're just another shitty group of bankers, right? And their hold on the Federal Reserve is accurate, and their hold on assets and all this kind of stuff is accurate. They're just smarter than the rest of the billionaires. They're just smarter, right? Why are they smarter? Because they understand. Like, don't stand in the limelight. Like, what the fuck is Elon Musk doing? He's like literally just standing in the limelight. And the other billionaires are happy he's doing it, frankly, because it keeps all of the light off of them, right? As long as Elon is taking up all the light and all the oxygen up in the room, being like, I'm the smartest man alive, then all the pitchforks are aimed at him, right? The Rothschilds are smarter. They know how to keep their wealth. They know how to do it. They're an intergenerational parasitic family. They know how to do it. And the number one thing that you should do if you're an intergenerational parasitic family is have no one know you exist. Just no one knows you exist. I'll ask people all the time, do you know who David Thompson is? Of course not. Nobody does. David Thompson's the wealthiest Canadian. He owns the Globe and Mail. Like, he was born that way. So much for your hierarchy of meritocracy, right? The guy at the very top of it was born that way. He was born with $1 billion. And what he does with his wealth is really, really genius. And how did his family get the wealth? They were monarchs. Literally, they came from England overseas as barons. His official title is the 3rd Baron of Fleet. Right? So he's literally a baron in Canada. And what he does with his billions of dollars he was born with is that he just basically buys 10% of everything. Because generally the market trends upwards, right? So if you buy 10% of everything, then generally your portfolio is going to trend upwards. That's it. That's it. That's all he's done. So we have this literal parasite embedded into our economy that does nothing, achieves nothing, has no goals, has no ambitions, but he's smarter than Elon. You know why? Because nobody knows he exists. Brilliant. You got to respect that. And the Rothschilds got that too. Like, they're evil. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're evil, but they're smart. Hitler was man's time of the year. Yeah, but that, it doesn't mean good person of the year. This guy again. What a loser. Like, what an unbelievable loser. Like, takes the time. Snowman, okay, King. Oh. The method by which you asked this means that I will let this slide, and I will answer this question calmly, without losing my temper. Feel like I'm losing my temper a lot today. What do you think of what is happening in the Xinjiang province? This is the Uyghur genocide. Or do you think it is CIA propaganda? Ding, 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 ding. So look, it is as simple as this, guys. Okay? There are two major things that are wrong with the Uyghur genocide narrative. Two glaring, directly in your face, impossible to miss truths that no one brings up, and so everybody's just kind of walking around being like, I keep hearing about the Uyghurs, right? Thing number one, we have satellites that can literally read street signs on the ground. We can actually identify people with the satellites that we have. And you're telling me that we can't find a genocide of 8 million people with satellites. Every single time I look at any of their evidence, it's like, look at the top of a building. Look at the top of a thing that happened. Anytime I look at a picture, it's like, look at the prison that every nation in the history of mankind has always had. Like, it's always the same dumb shit over and over again. They never have any evidence, and the evidence they do provide is usually falsified the day they release it. So, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as a secret genocide. That when genocides occur, like, let's use the big one, right? When Adolf Hitler rose to power, he did so clutching a book he had already written called Mein Kampf, in which he detailed his plan to commit a genocide. And then when he took power, the Nazis openly talked about it, and then voted on it, and then did it. We have documents. They planned it. They wrote it down. When the Canadian residential school system happened, it didn't happen secretively. It didn't happen behind closed doors and hush-hushed. It was passed through the parliament with a majority vote after a debate. We have the documents. We watched it happen. We saw it occur. It was in the public. And moreover, you can't have a secret genocide. There's no such thing. Because to commit a genocide is a massive organizational problem. You have to talk about it. You have to plan it. You have to write things down and communicate ideas to people. You have to have policies and thoughts. You have to have organizational structures. You have to create a plan and execute that plan. And the only way that you can do it is publicly. You cannot commit a genocide secretly. And that is the very accusation that the United States is levying against China. There is not a single elected official. There is not a toll booth operator. There is no one in any official capacity who has at any moment, at any time, even suggested that a solution for the problems that are happening in the Xinjiang province is genocide. It's absurd on the face of it. So what is happening? For this, I'll bring up a map because I feel like it's useful. I feel like people put two and two together really quickly when they look at a map, right? Here's a map of China, right? You can type in Google Maps. I suggest you do. Take a look at China. Beautiful place. Hey, what's that? Holy crap, it's Afghanistan. Holy crap. Does Afghanistan sound like a familiar place to us? Yeah, Afghanistan sounds like a familiar place to us. Isn't that the place we've been blowing up for 20 years? Isn't that the place where CIA operatives were walking around in Kabul just killing children in the streets? Isn't that the place we've been trying to steal resources from, and then the second we withdrew our military, the Taliban just took over immediately? Isn't that just a big giant clusterfuck that the United States has been blowing up for fucking 20 years? Why, yes, sir, it is. So there's a refugee crisis, right? Through the Wakhan corridor. There's a refugee crisis of people fleeing the American death squads, fleeing to the hills, and taking roost in, where's this? The Xinjiang province, right? So you've got refugees all along the border here, right? And who do they get connected with? Is it the East Turkmenistan independence movement? Yes, it is. That there is a terrorist organization that exists where? In Xinjiang. And they have done things like go into the subway system and kill hundreds of people with machetes. They've done bombings. They've created terrorism in Xinjiang, which, again, is to be expected given the refugee crisis that certainly exists. So how are the Chinese dealing with it? Well, they took a look at what the French did and thought, here's an internationally recognized way of dealing with this. We can create an institution that allows people who are not from the country to come into it, learn the language, learn a skill, and hopefully get integrated into the nation so that these bombings and massacres can stop. But if the Chinese do it, it's a genocide. The project lasted 2 years and then they shut it down because of this scrutiny. Because they understand what America's true goal is, which is the balkanization of China. For sure. For sure. And so they don't want to give America any amount of international support. That when America attacks China, they would prefer that America attack it alone, like it did to Iraq. It's once again, it's always what I end up finding myself saying. What should the Chinese do? They've got a refugee crisis where there are terrorists, literally like, I'm going to kill myself and millions of people for the glory of Allah. Literally. Like, and if you don't think that that's happening, then you're out to lunch. What should the Chinese do about this? It's a major, major problem. It's the reason why the rest of the Muslim world looked at those vocational centers and went, yeah, that's good. Because they understand what's happening. Why? Because they're dealing with it. Because the Americans keep giving those people weapons. It looks like the Chinese have taken control of the situation. The Chinese are building up the Xinjiang region. Incidentally, if it's a genocide, they've made a lot of really weird decisions. Weird decision number one, they didn't include the Uyghur people in the one-child policy. So the Uyghur population has actually gone up through this genocide period. Weird that happened. Thing number two, they keep funneling money into the region. Weird. Like, why are they developing it if their goal is to just commit a genocide and extract as much as they can from it? Weird. Just weird decision making happening all over the place on this one. And moreover, like, I really hate to bang on this, but moreover, guys, like, China walk around Xinjiang. You can see it with your own eyes. Like, if you don't believe me, just go there. Did you know that people just take cameras and walk around places? Did you know that people do that? Right? And if you don't like this one, if you think, well, this is Chinese propaganda, well, there's 1,000 others. right? There's a British guy that did one. There's a woman from Canada that did it, right? That they just go to these places, they walk around with a camera, and they look at it. Does this look like a genocide to you? Does this fit the description of a genocide? Does this even look like a place that has recently experienced a genocide? Right? And I think that this video, like, to be fair, let's look at the shittier parts. Right? Like, this looks like my hometown. I'm from small town Port Prairie, Manitoba. Right? This isn't very impressive. Doesn't look like a fucking genocide to me. So, like, if you don't believe the idea that, if you still think there's a secret genocide, that somehow they organized a genocide without talking about it, so you still think there's a secret genocide, okay. Something that's never happened in the history of humanity, but the Chinese pulled it off. I guess. Superpowers, I suppose. Because they're both weekend strong, right? So, if you still believe in the idea of the secret genocide, you still believe that we can't get it with the satellite technology that we most certainly have, right? So, you still believe it even though there's no evidence or even conversation about it happening. Maybe believe your own eyes. Does this look like a genocide to you? I hope that answers your question, King. Yeah. No, Snowman, you're nailing it. They just quote unquote found it. Thank you, Snowman. I was a bit scared, but you seem to be okay, dude. Okay, if you want to hear my opinion on 9/11 outside of the like it doesn't matter rhetoric, because it just kind of pisses me off. There's never actually been a real investigation. All of the people who were on the investigative panel that put forward the investigation resigned because it was pushed through hastily. Noam Chomsky did a really thorough, I wouldn't call it debunking, but just like straight up, like note by note, was just like this couldn't have happened. This isn't real. What is this? Just basically, yeah, debunking, I guess, is the word. Like, Noam Chomsky went through the report and was just like, this is bullshit. And so the hard truth about 9/11 is that we don't know what happened. What's the most likely thing that happened? I think the most likely thing that happened is that Osama bin Laden got together some Saudis, disenfranchised and disaffected Saudis, convinced them that this plan was a good one, and when he pieced together this plan, the Americans were onto him because he had tried to bomb the Twin Towers previously. Like, they knew that he was doing this. They knew he wanted to bomb this place. And I think that the administration stepped aside and let it happen. That's what I think. And maybe they put some pieces in place in order to benefit themselves in the aftermath. Like, Building 7 is fairly convincing. Literally, a building fell over and it hadn't been hit. Like, what the fuck is that? But I think the thing to maintain my own sort of intellectual integrity on it, I do have to say there's never actually been an investigation. So the answer actually is we don't know. There's a lot of suspicious bullshit. There's a lot of suspicious bullshit. And the further along we get, and the more psychotic, the more we recognize how psychotic the ruling class actually is, and they are psychotic. Like, our ruling class is like raping children psychopaths, like murdering millions of people psychopaths. Like, these people are psychopaths. right? But just because they come out in front of us on Ellen being like, well, I'm just a city boy, I just live out on the ranch, Get fucking Biden out there being like, the greatest thing about America is that here in the I think that the United States is the greatest country in the United States. Like, these people are demented, rapacious, outrageous, child raping psychopaths. And it's gotten really obvious. And now that that's breaking in to the consciousness of the country, we're retaking a look at 9/11 and being like, yeah, they could have done a lot of fucky shit. They could have done a lot of fucky shit. A lot of the reasons why people don't want to believe it is because they still hang on to the idea that these guys are at least not psychopaths. Well, they are. They are. They're 100% psychopaths. And if you say anything else, I just think you're dim-witted. Oh, please do not argue with the Vosh people. Oh my God. How do you keep coming back, Bernie Sanders? I gotta tell you, I'm mainly impressed with your tenacity. Really. Like, I'm mainly impressed with your tenacity, I do gotta say. Can I report you? Is that something we can do? What do we think? It's certainly unwanted, but it's not commercial content. It's not pornography. It's not child abuse. It's not hate speech or graphic violence. It doesn't promote terrorism. It is just kind of harassment. But I don't like it that it's harassment or bullying, because I don't feel bullied. Like, this person's probably 10, right? This is harassing me, let's say. Does this do anything? Do we think that's actually going to achieve anything? I don't know. Wow, really committed too. This is a big commitment because I have a lag. Like, you got to really commit. So that means that you were here for like minutes and minutes and minutes, just doing this. Wow. What a worthless person. Okay, I'll be a little bit more on it, guys. Sorry about that guy sat in the chat for that long. Sorry if you had to put up with that in the chat. You are proofing. Good start, struggle. Good start, struggle. Oh, not even struggle. Stuggle. Dude, I actually really love your name. That's why I'm going to let this slide. I just think that your name is cute, and I don't know why. Stuggle? That's cute. You are proofing that USA is bad, not capitalism, because most European capitalist nations live better than the US, and they need to communism. So why do they live good under capitalism? I mean, most of the European nations are colonial nations, right? That there's two reasons why I think the European nations do a little bit better than the United States. Reason number one is that the European nations, their colonies are still giving them wealth, right? So they basically don't need to do anything, and these colonies just give them shit, right? That they're still under these old colonial ideas and these old colonial patterns that the dictatorships that exist throughout Africa, and in some cases it is straight up just like an elected official, they still pay fealty to the old colonial system, and so because it does the power structure that exists within those nations well. Right? The clearest one that exists is certainly France, right? Like, France has at least 12 colonies still throughout Africa that are just giving France billions of dollars of resources for fucking like nothing, really. And the only reason the arrangement stays intact is because the ruling class of those nations are benefiting from it. And the people don't overthrow it. And a big reason why they don't overthrow it is that the second you do, well, then the Americans come in. And so you literally have African nations that are just like, well, we could overthrow them, but then we'd have to deal directly with the Americans. So this seems fine. Like, that's literally what these people, like, that's bleak. Like, that's really, really fucking bleak. Right? And then reason number two why the European nations are doing a little bit better is because they actually had to respond to the threat of a communist revolution, right? This is why the people who are walking around saying what we need is social democracy. Well, that's never going to happen. And the reason why it's never going to happen is because you don't vote in social democracy. Social democracy is a concession that occurs by the capitalists, right? That the capitalists concede into social democracy under the threat of revolution. And throughout Europe, especially while the Soviets were around, there was a lot of threat of communist revolution. And in fact, there were many communist revolutions that occurred across Europe during that period of time. It's why the capitalist system needed to respond with fascism, right? Because it's all it had left. It's why it needed to fund people like Adolf Hitler and Mussolini, because it had nothing left. And so some of the capitalist nations, the Scandinavian nations, are the real worthwhile ones to talk about. Like, come on. We always hear about the Scandinavian nations, right? No, not YouTube, Jonathan. Come on. We always hear about the Scandinavian nations and how their social democracy is the greatest social democracy that was ever a social democracy, right? And, well, okay, there they are, right? Finland, Sweden, Norway, Scandinavian nations. Social democracy. Well, that's fucking Russia. That's the Soviet Union, right? You think that the social democracies might be social democracies because they were conceding, the capitalists were conceding power to the working class as an alternative to revolution? I think so. And so what we're witnessing, and we will witness a decay of the social democracies, by the way. Like, the social democracies aren't going to stick around, right? They're not going to stick around. They're going to get ripped apart, just like how the healthcare system is getting ripped apart currently in Canada. Like, you can see this happening in real time. Like, all of the premiers and all of the provinces are doing everything they can to privatize and destroy the healthcare system. It's happening right in front of your eyes. Well, you think that's not going to happen here? It's absolutely going to happen here. Why? Because there's no threat of communist revolution, which is how social democracies emerge. You are comfortable talking about how communism is good and is a miracle, but your city and the people in the bloodline did not suffer from things like Holodomor and oppression from the communist regime to your people. I mean, I don't really care to get into the Holodomor. Look, dude, if you take all of the terrible shit, take all of the terrible shit. It's a compare and contrast, okay, bud? Right? Like, it's a compare and contrast. You got to pick one or the other, right? So if that's the choice, if you take all of the terrible shit that the capitalists accuse communists about, and I won't even attempt to defend, I'll just go like, yeah, sure, okay. And you take all of that shit and you put it in a pile and you say, the communists did this. And I'll just go, yeah, okay, sure. I won't debate you on it, right? Even though I could, but I won't. We'll just take your side 100%. These are the worst things that have ever happened under communism. And then you take the shit that we all agree on, that I'll let you debate me, and we'll get the number down as low as you like. That number will still be head and shoulders cascading to the sky higher than whatever number you're going to peg on the communists, whatever shit you want to throw at the communists. That's a guarantee, son. And you can take whatever time scale you like. You can do whatever you like. That's 100% the truth. If you want to peg it that the thing starts at the communist revolution in Russia, let's say that's your line. So the communist revolution forward. Okay, so that omits the history of genocide and colonialism throughout America. That omits the slave trade. That omits slavery, right? That omits the Civil War. Okay, fine. Nations change and grow up, sure. Right? So let's start there. Well, that still includes World War I, still includes World War II, still includes Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, still includes North Korea, still includes the entire invasion of the Middle East, still includes the nuclear bombardment of Nagasaki, Hiroshima. I haven't even begun the list. And the only thing I hear you guys say, is, Mao famine killed 100 million people and Holodomor. Great. Okay. Those things happened, let's say. You know what else definitely happened? World War II. Hitler, Mussolini. That definitely happened. 26 million Russians died over that. The nuclear bombardment of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That definitely happened. Right? Like, do we need to continue having this discussion? Yeah, NHS too. It's going to be really bad in the NHS. Dude, what are you doing here? I don't like it when people do this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, we're getting a lot of blue and red stuff. To English, please. Oh yeah, we got a Ukraine thing going on here. So we're starting to lean a little heavy onto the Nazi side of the conversation. Yeah, that's fun. Right? At least that didn't link directly to some Azov shit, dude. At least that didn't go in that direction. I've seen liberals say the U.S. invasion across the globe was good at the time. Yeah. This, no, that's just a restatement. Hey, DM, how you doing, bud? It's just a restatement of the classic, like, oh, we're civilizing them. They're better off this way, right? Struggle. I got a lot of Nazis, dude. I got a lot of Nazis. I had somebody literally today in this chat confess to being a Nazi. So, like, I understand to you that, okay, bud. Bye-bye. Like, I understand to you that it might seem childish. It is not. Like, I have Nazis in here all the time. And I more or less suspect that you might be one of them. Thoughts on Joseph Broz Tito? I don't really actually know that much about Tito, honestly. I know that other communists really like him. And I think one of the reasons why communists really like him is that he was unbending against the Nazis. Like, other communists, like Stalin, for example, went pretty soft on the Nazis, I thought. Tito didn't. Tito literally was like, oh, you're a Nazi or a collaborator or a sympathizer? Goodbye. Into the pit. Ugh. Did we lose Bernie? Did we lose Bernie? Oh my god. So many losers today. Strong possible Mossad were involved. If you really thought China was doing that, then you should be about fighting the Saudis in Israel. Yeah, Cotton raises an excellent point on the Uyghur genocide. Isn't it really weird how Americans don't give a fuck at all about Muslims throughout the Middle East? Like, they don't give a fuck about the Iraqi Muslims, the Iranian Muslims, the Afghani Muslims, the Saudi Muslims. They don't give a shit at all. They're literally in that country bombing them and, like, sending death squads in to shoot children and shit. Like, they don't care. Like, Americans don't give two fucks about Muslims. Period. Like, and don't pretend otherwise. Like, don't pretend otherwise. If you're sitting there as an American listening to me say this, thinking to yourself, well, I have a sympathetic... No, you don't. You do not give two fucks at all, even a little, about any Muslim, including the one that lives in your neighborhood. You do not give a shit, and we know it. But when it comes to Xinjiang, all of a sudden, we're like, the poor little Muslims... The poor little Muslims in Xinjiang, the Chinese are a fault. They're causing so many problems for the Chinese, for the Uyghur Muslims. Like, suddenly they're like clutching their pearls and really giving a shit about Muslims as they literally commit like a crusade. That when George W. Bush started this, he called it a crusade, and the Muslims across the Muslim world think of it as a crusade. Because as far as they're concerned, it seems an awful lot like a crusade. Right? So, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. It's so fucking dumb. You don't care about Muslims. Stop pretending like you do. No, I mean, that's the saving grace, King of Mercia, right? I'm not a fan of the USA either. Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of the obvious Nazis on the world stage either. Like, this is the thing that kills me about this whole conversation, right? The whole conversation surrounding all of these places. People come in here and they say China did this one thing in this area over here within their own borders, no less. Oh, and they just pretend as though that's not obviously the rhetoric that's being whipped up, so that the overt, crazed, psychopathic aggressor nation that has gone rogue and is absolutely terrorizing the rest of the world can go in and blow the shit out of it. Like, that's what's so mind-boggling to me, is that people are literally under the impression that America is somehow helping. Like, that's the best part. And I think it's like adorable. I think it's adorable that people genuinely come in here thinking that they're going to score an easy dunk on a communist with the dumb shit like, name one country where communism is successful besides the one that overtook the United States last year. Like, just L after L after L. And I've been doing this for like almost 2 years now. Not with the TikTok crowd, but I've been doing this for a long time. And the people who come in here like that are just like blinders on, eyes closed, fingers in ears. Unless it's CIA propaganda, then it's just blasted directly into their brain. Because anyone with even a lick of sense, anyone with even a tiny shred of basic, like, not even competence, just look at it. Open the map, look at the world, and ask yourself what the history of the world has been in the last 30 years. And really ask yourself, are we the good guys or are we the bad guys? And the answer is unbelievably overwhelmingly, to a degree that it becomes almost comical that the question must be asked, that we are obviously the bad guys. Like, we don't even need to go into the details. Like, pick a nation, and chances are good the United States in the last 30 years has attempted to destroy it, overthrow it, or steal its resources. Like, I don't know what you need to see. I genuinely don't know what you need to see at this stage in the game. It's so obvious. Like, I genuinely find myself saying, if you've ever asked yourself what you would be doing when the Nazis were in power, you know exactly what you'd be doing, because you're doing it right now. Yeah, they still continue with Palestinian, Yemen, Afghanistan, of course. I'm forced to live in the nation that would gladly enslave me over a leaf. Not just a leaf, Santora. It'd have to be like $1. Yeah, Biden, nothing will fundamentally change. Come on, man. Tra-la-la. Communism and capitalism both are bad. The both sides argument, right? Oh, the real Nazis are the people who are fighting against the Nazis. Both are run by greedy elites and evil people exploiting the poor. Humans should not have power over other humans. A nature-centered form of anarchism is best. I mean, China, what is it? Like 80 million people lifted out of poverty over the last 10 years, 20 years? Like, I just feel like if all you do is remove the evidence, then you can basically make whatever claim you like. Really. Like, I'm not against anarchism. Like, I'm not one of these people that's like really anti-anarchist or any of that kind of stuff. I just think that the anarchists don't really live in reality very often. Like, really. Like, I've talked to incredibly smart, intelligent anarchists who come into this chat and put forward their arguments, and they're very eloquent, they're very thoughtful, very kind, very generous people. They're not trying to shit on me. right? When they say that communism doesn't work, or communism has this flaw or that flaw, they're not saying it with this like scoffing arrogance. They're saying it from a position of like, no, I've read the literature. I've put real thought into this, and I believe that they have, right? But there's a fatal flaw in anarchism, which is that reality exists. And anarchists don't really like that. They don't really like to be confronted with reality. They don't really like to deal with reality. They would prefer to deal with their theory and their books. They would prefer to create an idea of a society and a civilization that should exist, and that I would love to see, by the way. Like, I'd have no problem with that. But the trouble is that there's this overwhelming Nazi force in the world that definitely will destroy that. Like, definitely will. And it doesn't seem to me that the anarchists have much to say on that subject, which kind of tells me that they're not really being serious about it. That if you want to convince me that this non-centralized horizontal organizational structure that's based on egalitarian principles and all of that can work, then you're going to have to show me how it survives a full frontal assault by the heavily organized central bureaucracy of the United States military, which is 100% going to happen. I just don't think you have an answer for it. And if you don't have an answer for that, then I don't really care what comes after. Like, we got a big problem in front of us. We got a big problem in front of us. And if we can't get over that, then we're not getting anywhere. That's my big problem with anarchism. Most Americans listen to mainstream media, believe all 100%. My own family ignores me now. I know. It's tough, dude. It's tough. Well, part of the problem with Swirling Dervish is that, like, because there's so much that is omitted, and it is lies of omission at this point. There's so much that's omitted that that all you really got to do is say, like, not a lot. And it really throws people into a big tizzy because they can't really handle it, right? Like, all you got to do is talk about this conflict and just point out that, like, hey, did you know there was a coup in 2014? Did you know that in this eastern region where there is a war going on, that in 2014 there was a coup by the United States government? They couped the government. And then they funded neo-Nazis, and those neo-Nazis went to the Donbass region and started shelling ethnic Russians. Did you know that? That's just true. Like, there are documentaries done about this by people like Oliver Stone, no less. Like, full-scale Hollywood-level documentaries about this war, the Donbass War. It's just omitted from the discourse. We're just not allowed to talk about it. Mark my words. I say it over and over again. Mark my words. There will be Nazi salutes in Kiev's parliament before this conflict ends. Most Americans listen to me. Yeah. The idea that we can't critique the U.S. is completely absurd. I have so many freaking debate with the pro-Uke crowd about the U.S. involvement, yet all I hear, but Russian imperialism, yeah. Yeah, and if you just point out basic things that obviously happened, you're a Putin stan, right? It's Russian propaganda, that's a good one. They like that, right? Forget about the, like, existence of the Azov battalion. And the only reason I'm openly talking about this right now is that I only have a half hour left. So once my viewership always plummets whenever I talk about this. So they've got the algorithm going on it. Oh, Rose has thorns. Here you go. Eric, Rose has thorns. Every rose has its thorn. Every highway. No. Rose Has Thorns documentary. You know what, dude? Why don't you put this in the Discord? Because I feel like that's going to be a tough one for me to find. Just put it in the Discord, Eric. Every rose has its thorn. Every, what, highway sings a sad, sad song, right? Bruce says Zelensky is cleaning house. Yeah, Zelensky banned all of the opposition parties to the left of his, right? So he banned, like, including the opposition party. So he, like, bans all of the leftist parties, leaves the Nazi party intact. So the Nazi party is still operating in Kiev parliament, but the leftists have been chased out. So what do you think's going to happen? How do you think this is going to go? Where do you think it's going to go? Mark my words. Mark my words. Nazi salutes inside of Kiev's parliament before this is all over. Ugh. You know what, guys? I'm tired. I'm at the end of it. This has been a real journey, this one. I'm going to call it a half hour early. You guys are all beautiful. Each and every one of you. Always remember, you're a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little worker they need you to be. Revolt. Rebel. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.